Hello everyone! Ahoj, vítejte u nového videa. Welcome to my new video. My name is Zuzka and today we are going to take a look at some Czech sounds that can be tricky for some learners. We will cover 4 specific sounds. Y, y, ny, y. They all have one thing in common. They are soft. And we use similar parts of our mouth to create these sounds. Y, y, ny. After watching this video, there will be nothing that can stop you from saying these sounds correctly. Jdeme na to! Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. But first, what does a soft sound mean? When we pronounce these sounds, yi, ti, ni, or yu, yu, ny, we use our tongue, let's say the middle of our tongue, and that goes up and touches the hard palate. That's the part that's right behind your teeth. So instead of pronouncing d, the traditional d, as in the word day, you say y, y, or q, or ny. They all sound soft. Imagine it's like a baby talk, or when you see a cute animal or talk to your pet, you're like, you're such a cute little animal. So you sound soft. I will start with the sound ny, because that's usually easier to understand, easier to hear, because it's something that learners are usually familiar with from other languages such as Spanish or French. Ny, as in něco. Něco in Czech means something. Něco. Ny is the soft version of no. When we make the sound no, as in no, we use the tip of your tongue that goes right behind your upper teeth. No. However, when we say ny, we use a completely different part of the tongue. We also touch a different part of the palate. What we need is the middle of our tongue, not the tip, not the root. We will raise the middle of our tongue towards the hard palate, which is right here. Ny, ny. The Czech ny sounds very, very similar to the Spanish ñ, like in the word señor, or in the French mignon. It might not be as soft. It's similar to the sound onion. When you say onion, you can pronounce it this way, onion, or canyon, canyon, onion. We have the ny in there. So the n is the palatalized version of n. Once again, when you make the ny sound, you need the middle of the tongue high up against the hard palate. Ny. You can actually feel that the tongue expands. The sides of the tongue touch your upper teeth right here, the molars. Ny, ny, ny. Let's try saying this. Nyam, 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 like yum, yum, yum. Nyam, nyam, nyam. Nyam, nyam, nyam. Nyam, nyam, nyam. Ny, ny. Nyam, nyam, nyam. Now let's read these words. Něco. Něco. Something. Koně. Koně. Horses. Koně. Let's try again. Něco. Koně. Koně. Keep in mind, it's not koně, it's not nie, it has to be faster, it has to be ně, ně. Koně. Něco. Now let's try a different combination. Nic. Nic. That means nothing. Nic. Ně, 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 ni, nic. Nic. Paní. Paní. That means a lady. Paní. Paní. Now let's see this one. Kůň. Kůň. That means a horse. Here, as ny is at the end, it will not be as strong. Usually the consonants that are at the end of the word in Czech are not as strong. So you're not saying kůň, you're saying kůň, kůň. You pronounce it almost halfway. Kůň, kůň. And this word that also has an actual ny in it, ňouma. Ňouma, which is something like a dummy or person who's not very clever, not very skillful. Ňouma. Ňouma. And one more place where you can expect ny is actually somewhere where you would not expect it. What about this one? Mě. Mě. Me. Or this one, mě. They actually sound exactly the same. The spelling is different though. Mě, mě. These sound identical. There is no difference in pronunciation. The funny thing is that in Czech, when you have the combination of M and E with this diacritics, háček, there is an invisible N, mě. Sometimes we write it, sometimes we don't. That all depends on the word. This is actually a different case of the word me. Mě, mě. This is word město. Město means town or city. Město. If I pronounce it slowly, it will be like this. Město, město. Imagine there is a n in here. Ň. Except we don't write it. Město. So this is ň. Let's read these again. Něco, koně, nic, paní, kůň, ňouma. Mě, mě, město. You might be wondering why these words don't have any ň, why there is no n with this háček. That's because in Czech we have some special vowels that have special power. For example, take the letter E with an accent, like I said, háček. Yeah, it doesn't appear on its own. In Czech, we have these combinations that are very typical. For example, je, je, ně, mě, bě, bě, vě. These are the combinations with soft sounds, and they all have e s háčkem, the je. Je, je, ně, mě, bě, bě, vě. These three are pronounced a little bit differently, but here you can clearly hear a different sound. J, je, ť, tě, ň, ně. As well as here, ň, mě. Remember, this one is pronounced exactly like this. And the funny thing is that we write this háček over E. If there is an E, we don't write it over D. That's not the rule. So that's one thing. E has a special power. It makes these specific consonant sound softer. And then we have two vowels, or actually one, just one is short, one is long. I and E, měkké I, we call it soft I for a reason, because it softens certain consonants. So if we had a combination with D, it would be pronounced as y, not d. Or like here, when we have combination with n, it's not nic, but nic. And here it's a long one, paní, paní. So this I, whether it's short or long, has also this specific power of softening the consonants, except these are lousier because they only have power over D, T, and N, only these three, not these actually. So that's how we got the sound ñ, even though the accent is not over N, it's over E, but this makes it soft. Ně, ně, ní, ní, mě. Let's see another sound. Now let's see the sound j, as in the word díky, díky. This might be more challenging because there's no real equivalent in English or any language that will be widely known. Díky, thanks. The j is soft and palatalized, and we also use the middle of our tongue, or let's say the front part, not the tip. We raise it up against the hard palate right here. J, j. So the front of our tongue goes against the roof of our palate. J, j. Let's try this. You use the tip of your tongue and put it behind your lower teeth, like this. And the middle of your tongue goes against the hard palate. So your tongue is kind of like this is your tip. And this is the middle of the tongue, so it goes like this. J, j, j. If we exaggerate it, it would almost look like you want to bite your tongue like this. J, j. And as well as the sound d, it is voiced. So your vocal cords vibrate. When you say d, as in day, there is a vibration here or here. As well as for y, y. This is me exaggerating it. Y, y. Nobody's gonna speak like that. So like I said, there's no exact equivalent in English, but we can get pretty close with the phrase would you, like would you like, for example. If you say it quickly, would you, or did you, we are getting a little close, okay? It's not the same. Let's read these words. Díra, díra, j, díra, díra. That means a hole. Díra. Díky, díky, we also have to make sure that the E is long. Díky, díky, díky. Thanks. Vidím. Let's break it first. Vidím. 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 Sometimes you might feel like you hear G. Vidím. That's wrong. This is D. D. You press a different part of the tongue against a different part of your mouth. Vidím. I see. Divadlo. This is short. Divadlo. 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 That means a theater. Dělám. Dělám means I make, or I do, or I'm doing. Dělám. 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 Neděle. 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 That's Sunday. Neděle. Ďábel. Finally, a word with an actual D with a háček. Ďábel. Ďábel is a devil. Ďábel. So this letter is not really common. These two letters spelled like that. If we want the sound j, you can see it's much more common to have them with combinations of I, the short and long, or the E with háček. Remember that I showed you that these ones have special powers, especially as háčkem, E with the crown, with háček. They make the D soft and the accent is actually transferred to it. If you wrote this and you meant to say this is obviously wrong. The háček has to be written over here. It transfers to E. Dělám. So let's practice. Já, dě, di, jo, ju. Já, dě, di, jo, ju. Practice with me. Já, dě, di, jo, ju. Já, dě, di, jo, ju. Já, dě, di, jo, ju. Make sure it's not you. If you're learning, that's okay. You need to get used to pronouncing things. The transition is slower. So it's okay if you find a little bridge combination of d and y, dělám, dělám. But this is not how it's supposed to sound. It should be dělám. Again, very fast. There's thrust. Let's pronounce this sentence. Ďábel dělá díru. The devil makes a hole. Ďábel dělá díru. Ďábel dělá díru. Nikdo nic nevidí. Now we have the luxury of knowing about new, so we can connect it. Nobody sees anything. Nikdo nic nevidí. Nikdo nic nevidí. Nikdo nic nevidí. And this one. Nikdo mě neviděl. Nobody saw me. Nikdo mě neviděl. Nikdo mě neviděl. Remember, there is an invisible N, actually, which we don't write. Also, when you pronounce j, for example, try to smile. It might help. J. Díky. Let's read these again. Díra. Díky. Vidím. Divadlo. Dělám. Neděle. Ďábel. Now let's see the sound t, as in tělo. Tělo, body. Tělo. T is made in the same part as j. We need the front of our tongue pressed against the hard palate. T. The only difference is in voicing, because t, just like the sound d, is voiceless. Our vocal cords do not vibrate. So this is the only difference. T is without vibration. J is with vibration. J and J. The closest approximation of the sound T in English would be maybe with the word tune, if you pronounce it more in British English. Tune or Tuesday. But not quite, of course. This is very specific. For example, the word ťuk. Ťuk means knock. So if someone says knock knock, in Czech we say ťuk ťuk, or actually 3 times is usually more common. Ťuk ťuk ťuk. Ťuk ťuk ťuk. The verb is ťukat. To knock. Ťuk, ťuk, ťuk. Let's try it. Tě, that means you in a different case. Těsto, těsto. Dough, těsto. Tělo, body. Tělo. Těžký. This is a hard one because actually here we say sh and we write ž. Těžký, těžký. Heavy or difficult. Ticho, ticho. That means quiet. Ticho. And this one is very common and a little tricky. Pití, pití, pití. Drink. And one word that actually has a T with háček, ať. Ať is a very short word. It can be a connector. It's kind of hard to translate it without the context. It could be something like so that. When you wish someone something, it could have this word in it, ať. And remember what I told you about consonants at the end of the word. They are not pronounced as strongly, so we would pronounce it kind of halfway. Ať, ať. Kind of whisper. Ať. So let's see this word. I'm sure you know it. We have two sounds that we just covered. J and then ť. Děti means children. Děti. 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 Notice what I do when I say it. Děti. Děti. I'm almost biting in my tongue. Děti. Děti. Let's try this. Ticho, děti. Dělám těsto. Quiet children, I'm making dough. Just to make sure, těsto actually means the dough for baking. It doesn't mean dough as in money. Slang. Ticho, děti. Dělám těsto. Let's try this one. Buď ticho. This means be quiet. And we would write D in here. But because it's at the end, we also pronounce it voiceless. So it would be pronounced as ť. Buď ticho. So we actually are going to say buď ticho. Buď ticho. If we say it quickly, it would sound like buď ticho. Buď ticho. Buď ticho. We make a little ť. And these two sounds almost cancel each other out. Buď ticho. Buď ticho. Buď ticho. And people would say it quickly. Buď ticho. Let's see these again. Ťuk. Ťuk, ťuk, ťuk. Or the verb ťukat. Tě. Těsto. Tělo. Těžký. Ticho. Pití. Ať. Děti. Again, it's not tě, it's ť. So it is not tělo, it's tě. Tělo. In this specific word, pití, ť, as it's also in a combination with this long vowel, pití, it can mislead you. Some people might hear k. Some people might hear pikí, k. But this is ť, ť, ť. We create the sound here in the hard palate, ť, versus k. Pití, pití. Let's try saying this. Vidím tě. Vidím tě, I see you. Vidím tě. Nikdo tě nevidí. Nikdo tě nevidí. Nobody sees you. Nikdo tě nevidí. And now we're finally here with our last sound, and that is y, as in the word yo. Yes, or yeah. Yo. The sound y is pronounced a little bit as in the word yes. Yes, or yellow. When we pronounce y, we use also, let's say, the front of the tongue, y. So you are really pushing the sides of your tongue towards the upper teeth. Y, 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 yo. So the word yo, as in yeah, já, I or me, jako, like, jako, y, jedno, jedno, one, jím, jím, I eat, jídlo, jídlo, meal, její, hers, její, její, this one is hard, její. So all of these were with the y at the beginning. Let's start with nej, which means the most. Nejvíc, 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 the most. Or nejlepší, 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 the best, nejlepší. It's also typically at the end of many verbs when we make a command, an imperative. Neboj, Don't worry. Neboj, neboj. Y is less strong. Neboj, neboj. And of course, I'm forgetting the word ahoj. Ahoj. Also, the y is not as strong. It's not ahoj. It's ahoj, ahoj. So let's read these again. Jo, já, jako, jedno, jím, jídlo, její, nejvíc, nejlepší, neboj, ahoj. Notice that we don't have any E with háček here. It does not exist in Czech. This combination does not exist. And here is one interesting thing. These words that I wrote here can be pronounced in two ways. The proper pronunciation would be with y. Jdu, I go, I walk. Jdu, jdeš. But when we speak, commonly we don't pronounce it when there is a y in front of a consonant, like here at the beginning of a word. Jdu, jdeš is often pronounced as jdu, jdeš. In spoken Czech, almost always like this. Jdu, jdeš, kam jdeš, instead of kam jdeš, where are you going? And here as well, properly it would be jmenuju se, my name is. But people would say jmenuju se, just because it's at the beginning of the word and there is a consonant before it. Or the word jméno, a name. That would be the proper pronunciation, jméno, but people would usually say jméno, unless they need to sound proper. All clear? So now we have covered these four sounds, y, j, n, y. Let's practice with more words where we have more than one of these sounds in one word. A typical word that you probably know, děkuju. Děkuju, thank you. So we had the word díky, which was thanks, and this is děkuju, thank you. This is a fun word, štěstí, štěstí, happiness or good luck. Štěstí, 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 like hodně štěstí, good luck. Or if you want to say I'm happy, jsem šťastný, jsem šťastný, šťastný. Let's practice some more. Say with me. Ticho, někdo ťuká. Quiet, someone's knocking. Ticho, někdo ťuká. Ticho, někdo ťuká. What about this one? Nějaké pití. Some drink. Nějaké pití. Nějaké pití. Divné náměstí. A strange square. Divné náměstí. Remember the mň? Náměstí. Divné náměstí. Jediné divadlo. A single theater. Jediné divadlo. Jediné divadlo. Šťastní lidi. Happy people. Šťastní lidi. Šťastní lidi. Podívej, nic se neděje. Look, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. Podívej, nic se neděje. Nic se neděje. Or prosím tě. Please, I ask you. Prosím tě. Nestíhám tě. This is a very good phrase. I can't keep up with you. Nestíhám tě. Nestíhám tě. Nestíhám tě. And as I was preparing this topic, I actually was listening to some songs, my favorite band, Činasky, and there was this song, and it just caught my attention because it contained a lot of sounds that I showed you today. Let's read it together. Všechno zní nějak vzdáleně. Everything sounds somehow distant. V hrudi mě studí mé srdce z kamene. In my chest, my heart of stone feels cold. Opakujte po mně. Všechno zní nějak vzdáleně. Všechno zní nějak vzdáleně. V hrudi mě studí mé srdce z kamene. Všechno zní nějak vzdáleně, v hrudi mě studí mé srdce z kamene. Ha. And there is a surprise at the end. There is always a surprise. In Czech, there are many loan words that contain the combination T-I, D-I-N-I, which if they were Czech, they would be pronounced as ti-di-ni. However, because they are loan words, we wanted to make them sound with their hard sound, but keeping somehow the original spelling, or at least part of that original spelling. So these words will not be softened. For example, this one, univerzita, it's ni, pronounced as ni, not ni. It's not univerzita, it's univerzita, because it's a loan word, university. Univerzální, universal. Again, there is no ň. Univerzální. Or the word matematika, math, matematika, not ti, is matematika. Statistika, statistics, the same thing, statistika, as if there was this one, this combination, statistika. Sympatický, nice person, sympatický, sympatický, not sympatický. Optimistický, optimist, optimistický. Or diplom, diploma, diplom, not diplom. And diktat, dictation, diktat. And nicotine, 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 not nicotine. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm planning on covering more sounds in the future. So if there is anything in particular that you would like to hear, let me know. To je ode mě všechno, mějte se hezky. Ahoj!